Oh, hi! Hey guys, today I'm pretty excited to start a project that I've been waiting to do for quite some time, and that is Refurbish This. This is my Commodore 64 bread bin style, as they call it, rather unaffectionately. But I think these machines really do deserve some affection and some love and some care, which is what I want to give to this machine. You think about all the happiness that they gave us as kids and still do now through nostalgia and, new movements like retro gaming. I really feel like we should give back and kind of treat the machine with that love and respect that it deserves. So that's what I'm going to do. Without further ado, let's take a closer look at this machine and everything that we're going to fix. Alright, so you will excuse me going handheld for a little bit. Actually, the outside of this machine is in very good condition. There is very little for me to do. I may brush down the keys with some alcohol and a little paintbrush, but really the case is not the issue. Part of the reason for that is that I have ordered and am still waiting for one of these. Oh yes, look at that. This is a new case made from the original molds, and this one is in a two-tone color, style of the Commodore SX64, which I think just looks fantastic. Obviously it's down to personal taste. And speaking of cases, did you ever notice how the Commodore logo is a little smiley face? But it's pretty fitting because it makes us so happy. What doesn't make us happy is when we open up the machine, undoing the screws on the bottom, and we see something like this. So here's the inside of the machine. We've got the old paper shield. I put the word shield in quotes because it didn't really do a whole lot, but it made the FCC happy. That's all ripped and torn. The RF port and the cartridge port are corroded, and we've got some oxidation going on there. So we're going to have to somehow clean those up. We've got solder blobs on the cartridge port, which also is spotty with oxidation. The capacitors need recapping. I'm not a fan of the RF shield over the VIC. You don't really need it. That again was another FCC thing that they put in there to make the FCC happy. So we're going to take that out and make it look a bit more like the more modern shortboards that were in the Commodore 64C. So I have now removed the shield underneath, and this is what it looks like. Cardboard and metal going in the bin. Should I recycle it? I don't know. This oxidation, I think the best way to deal with that is to give the tops a light sand down and then use some spray paint. The spraying has been done, and now for the big reveal. Look at those. I am so happy with how those worked out. Have a quick look at how they were before again, and here they are now. I was even able to salvage one sticker from the cartridge port just for authenticity and that little touch. And then I put a quality control sticker of my own on this one. But they are glistening silver now, and I am so happy. This feels like a brand new machine just based on that one little touch. But we've got lots more to do, so let's plug on. Okay, so next up I'm going to be using these. We've got isopropyl alcohol spray, also these handy wipes which you can get from your pharmacy usually, and they're ready to go with the alcohol on, very good for cleaning, and the trusty clean paintbrush. This one I've been using for a while, just for dusting down and for wiping the spray after we spray it. Now the reason we need to do that is take a look at my chips. I wouldn't eat these chips, would you? Look at the dust. Fingerprints there. So let's get to work and clean this off. Okay, so this is a reasonably straightforward process. You get your spray, spray it on, and then get to work with the brush and just get in every nook and cranny so you're mopping up the alcohol at the same time as dusting. I already gave it a coat of dusting before, not a coat of dusting, but a good dusting with this brush before I started doing this, and then nice clean and polish with the alcohol. Look at that, it's glistening. Let's see what it looks like when it's dry. I'm so pleased with how some of this came out. So I also removed the socketed chips like the Vic here and used some contact cleaner on those. But look how shiny this is. This is after it's dried and everything just feels like it is almost brand new. Did the underside too. Didn't need too much work, but I was able to tidy up some of the soldering as well and remove some of those solder blobs. Also something that I did is used a wire brush on the RF port and then a good old pencil eraser on these gold-plated contacts has taken away some of that oxidation there as well. There is one more pretty major task which I want to embark upon, and that is recapping the board. Recapping, as you probably know, just means replacing the capacitors, and we do that because they can leak over time and start to have different values, which is not good for the board at all. So by putting all new ones on, we probably buy another 30 years of use for our beloved machines. So firstly, removing them, I find the easiest way is to locate the capacitor, turn the board around whilst holding on to the capacitor. So I'm holding that there. Hold on to that, turn around the board, and then just hold the soldering iron onto those 2 points, making sure you get the right 2 points. I'm pretty sure it's these two. So as I pull, I'm going to heat up the 2 points. So I'm pulling, that leg's come out, and I'm pulling, that leg's come out. And there is your capacitor. Beautiful. Now, turn the board around, we can see we have our empty space. What do we do with our empty space? Well, the holes are plugged with solder. So now we get our solder remover. Try not to breathe, because of course this is lead on these older boards. I'm dying. So push soldering iron in, remove, pull, done. There's one there and one next to it there. You can see through those, which means we're ready to put the new capacitor in. Obviously line up the negative and positive correctly, that does matter. And there's always a little plus sign on the board where the positive pin goes. And you usually find the positive pin is longer. The negative has the light stripe and the negative symbol on it. There we go. So positive goes in there, negative goes in there. Push it down as much as it can easily. Turn the board over, and then this is my technique. Don't know if I've invented this or should patent the technique, but bend one leg down. So you can see there, one leg is upright and one leg is down. And then we're going to solder the upright leg, just because that's easier to do. So we're going to hold the soldering iron to the leg to heat it up, and then touch the solder to the other side of the leg, push it down so it melts, and then release the iron. And what that's done is it's now holding the capacitor in place. So rather than holding it in place by bending a pin, we can now unbend that pin, and it's held in place by the soldered one. So we're sort of swapping position, which means this one is now upright, and you can then touch the soldering iron to that leg, heat it up, touch the solder to the other side, push it down and release. And now you can see we've got a nicely soldered capacitor there. Trim and trim, and that's the end result right there. Those two pins, 1 and 2. And then we go back to the Commodore and plug it all in, test it and make sure we haven't screwed up. Fingers crossed. Yay! Alright. Nothing blown up yet. Now those capacitors actually came in a pack that I ordered from retrolium.co.uk. It's a really neat little retro and vintage computing site. And they also do a pack of heat sinks, so I splurged out and indulged in one of those too. And don't these new heat sinks look great? I love that black thin look, really stealthy, and really brings the machine into the 21st century. If you compare it to how it looked before with a oxidized RF shield and old capacitors to how it looks now with the gleaming circuitry showing through, the black heatsink and those new capacitors, it really is like a new machine. I'm really happy with it. Well, I want to thank you for watching the cleaning, recapping and respraying of the PCB. But next up, as soon as the new case arrives, I'm going to put the machine in there and clean the keyboard and show you the finished product. So until then, hold the line please.